What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Schixo podcast. Sorry, Rudy. Sorry. I'm here once again with Lamontre, and today we are going to talk about mental health. Again, this is the second episode of Let's Talk About Mental Health. But before we do that, make sure you like, share, subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. Follow me on Twitter at Schizomania and follow me on Instagram at Schixo Forever. And of course, don't forget, hashtag No Filter Podcast. Let's talk, man. Let's talk. So, we talked a little bit before we started recording this podcast, and you were speaking on how, you've had your moments with mental health, but you wouldn't say it's something that has really, I guess, you haven't had it as bad as maybe some other people have had, especially like, in the military. But, I don't want to discredit the things that you've gone through and how you've come out on the other side. I still want to sort of dive into what it is that you were dealing with. And hey, Zane, my one per episode again. Let's go. I want to dive into the things you were going through, and how is it that you, how were you able to deal with it before it got too bad?
So, I believe that everybody, goes through some sort of situation. I guess a lot of people refer to whenever it's an actual bad thing that actually happens, or a situation, or let's say if someone successfully suicides. That's a lot of times people will refer to mental health as only the negative. It could be positive as well, and what I there's different ends of the spectrum, I believe. But how did I cope with things that have happened? I a lot of the times different situations have happened, and a lot of the time I would have my friends to lean back on, or now my wife, I can lean back on, even family, someone who I could talk to, and just be able to release some of that tension, if I want to. Now, that doesn't always mean that I always wanted to talk to people. It's not always the route that I believe that people have to go. I believe, even if you don't want to talk to someone, there's something out there that you love. And for me, I love just simply watching a movie, listening to movies, music. People have different things they do, playing video games, or people like to work on construction, or build things, do it yourself type of things. I found, or I know what I love. And if I'm ever, or the times that I've had situations, I would just go towards what I love. And if need be, if that wasn't enough, then a lot of times I would talk to someone. There's usually a sign that I would give off that I would need to talk to someone, or someone would actually approach me and check up on me. And I think that's key. I know you may not have asked the question, but checking on people is huge. Whether you haven't spoken to someone in forever, just a simple "Hey, how you doing?" That could start a conversation just to bring laughter, and that's what I'm all about. Definitely laughter, but bring laughter, or knowledge, talk about things, words of wisdom, just being able to reach out. And I think that was what has always helped me throughout the years, anytime that I've gone through something negative.
So as a maintainer in the Air Force, of course, you are a part of the group of jobs with the highest suicide rate in the military. Maintainers take their lives at a higher rate than any other AFSC in the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you've gone through the struggles
Yeah.
of working on the flight line for 12 hours. Hey, Zane again. You've gone through the struggles of working on the flight line for 12-hour shifts. Um, I've gone through the struggles of working on the flight line for 12-hour shifts.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to that stuff, you mentioned finding time for the stuff that you love, watching a movie, listening to your movie scores, video games.
Mm-hmm.
For somebody who feels like they don't have time for that stuff, because they're working such long hours, you've had experience with it and you managed to do it. So how did you manage to find time for the things that you enjoyed doing?
So I always looked at, when it comes to my job, anytime there was, those times where I just feel like this job is just too much, just taking up too much time, it's too exhausting, too stressful. I look at the fact that it's temporary. And I'm not talking about the job itself, but that moment. Because it to me, within this AFSC maintenance in general, it's a roller coaster. There's the highs and the lows. And this could be with pretty much any AFSC, I believe, or any job people could relate to. But it's a roller coaster. There's those times where the job is, easy. You're getting cutbacks or, regular 8-hour days and everybody's, having a good time at work, people telling jokes, whatever, vibing. The vibe is just cool. But then you have those moments where it is just at the lowest of the low. I'm talking, weekends, 12 hours, whatever you can think of. The tempo is just go, 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 go. But it's only temporary. It's going to have to stop. It's going to have to slow down eventually. And that's the way I look at things. Usually when I know that whenever there's nowadays at least, if you're on mandatory 12-hour shifts, you can kind of have a countdown like, okay, so it's only until this. I don't necessarily want to always use that because sometimes you'll get hit with we got to stay again, guys, or things like that. But it's only temporary. That's the thing that's always pushed me. And then you will not just be at work 24/7. I mean, yeah, you have people who are deployed. That's work 24/7, but that's temporary as well. Whether it's a longer temporary than home station duties, where it's just like you work a week and you work through the weekend, and you're going to get a day off. Deployed, you might not get a day off. You're there for 6 months, but there's a time on it. There's a time cap on it. It's temporary, and that's the way I look at it. Just get through this obstacle, and you're gonna eventually climb through the window, and get to the other side, and you'll be okay. That's the way I seem to always look at it. It's not
The light at the end of the tunnel.
Basically. It's never permanent.
I think a great thing to do also, a lot of people that I see, and I won't go into specifics, obviously specific names, anything like that, but a lot of people that I see that have the biggest mental health issues or struggles, they never take leave, they never really go anywhere. Of course, I don't know what they're dealing with financially, but at the same time, I'm like, sometimes it's good to always give yourself, well, not sometimes, it's always good. Mm-hmm. It's always good to give yourself something to look forward to.
Yeah.
I always give myself something to look forward to. As soon as I'm done with one vacation, I'm thinking of the next one. That way, work is a little bit easier to get through. And now, obviously, I'm in back shop, so it's a lot more laid back.
Yeah.
But it's still very stressful sometimes, especially for somebody like me who, I can say all I want that I don't give a damn about what anybody thinks, but at the same time, in the back of your head, you always care about what somebody thinks of your performance, what somebody thinks of the work ethic that you're putting in. And when I mess something up at work, or I make a mistake, might not do something right, it actually, it does weigh on me. It adds extra stress. it's something that I think about when I go home, and all that stuff can build up. So it's good to give yourself something else to think about, to look forward to. Like when you come home, instead of thinking about that, you could be planning your next vacation. You could be planning your weekend trip. You could be buying tickets to a game or something like that that you always wanted to go to. Like something, there's always something that you could be planning towards. And it doesn't always have to be with friends. Sometimes your best coping mechanism is time by yourself.
Yeah,
meditation.
definitely agree with that.
Yeah, like it's not. You don't always have to. Oh, go get help. No, like sometimes you just need to help yourself out, and you can help yourself out by giving yourself something to do, giving yourself something to look forward to. I remember when we were at Shaw, man, it was getting pretty bad around the time that I left to go to Korea.
Yeah,
and
it got rough.
I just kept remembering, like, hey man, I'm PCSing soon. Like I have something to look forward to here. I'm getting married right after I PCS. Like I had a lot of stuff that I saw like the light at the end of the tunnel in it. And it's important to give yourself that. Like you can't just sit and dwell in how bad things are at work and how bad things are getting professionally, or maybe even at home. You have to take some type of steps to fix it, or it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And especially in our job where, sometimes like you said, like nothing's eternal. It's all temporary. But man, when you're in that moment, that thing feels like eternal as hell. Like,
yeah. So
it does.
So one thing that I will clarify for, those who are watching, a lot of people, the people who feel like they are having the thoughts of suicide, I don't believe that, or at least in our job, I don't believe that it's only our job. Usually I think it's a compound of different situations. Life happens. I believe that this is just what I believe based on, observation, from what I've seen and the experiences I've been around, but believe that it's a compound of things, so the job may also just be the cherry on top to set someone off. And this is where things could, this is where it could change, sort of almost change the whole conversation on on the issue. So we'll say the job, it's temporary, and we know it's temporary, but something in life can happen, and life can hit to where something actually could be a permanent. And this is where I honestly don't think that a person should always handle every biggest issue on their own. This is where I think reaching out for help is key. When it comes to our job, sometimes you just gotta get through it. You gotta push through to work those long hours. I mean, you gotta push through. But when it comes to life in general, I don't know what the situation is. I'm talking in a very broad spectrum, but you're not alone. Like I don't even think the people who believe they're alone. Because someone has someone. Everyone has someone. Sorry. Everyone has someone that they can reach out to and ask for help. And I'm not talking about go and see a mental health doctor or things like that. I'm saying just someone to talk to for advice. It could be, close friend, family, whoever, just for advice or comfort, or maybe there's a different point of view for whatever the situation is that it could be handled, a different route that could be taken. Yes, I believe in self-love, self-meditation, self-care. Try to handle things on your own, but if all else fails, there is always someone out there that can help you, that you can talk to about the situation. Or you don't even have to talk to someone about the situation. It could be just talking about anything else besides the situation. Especially if you're surrounded by whatever that is. Maybe you just want a break from it. And I'm not talking about a permanent break like suicidal. I'm talking about a break and that break is enjoyment.
And I believe in like the law of attraction,
Yeah.
and what you think about the most is what's going to continue to come to you. So of course, like, distracting yourself from an issue isn't going to make it just go away.
Yeah.
But I do believe that surrounding yourself with more positive things is going to help you to attract that back into your life, which is ultimately the goal. You want to be surrounded by happiness and joy and positive things. You don't want to be surrounded by darkness and always being a victim and always feeling suicidal and down and depressed. You want to feel uplifted. You want to feel like your life is in your control. That's what you want. And dealing with a lot of mental health issues, a lot of times we can, I can speak from personal experience. A lot of times, like when I was dealing with mine, it's like I would think about that one thing all day long. And as a result, it never goes away because you're surrounding yourself by the thought of that. Like, you're giving it energy, you're giving it exist. I mean, that's a deeper conversation. But I think it's super important to say to yourself, okay, maybe I just need to take a couple hours and go like watch a game or something, or just focus on something completely different. Go play video games with a friend for just a little bit, just like for just a small amount of time. Allow yourself to forget that. Hello, Rudy. Now my dog's in the picture. Jesus Christ, I got a whole family in this house that likes to make noise on my podcast, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Like I was saying, surround yourself just for a little bit with something that's not the problem that you're going through. Because sitting around thinking about it, honestly, it's not going to make it go away. And that never works.
Unless you're thinking of a solution. And
yeah, if you're thinking of a solution, that's different.
And if you are only thinking about whatever that negative thing could be, and you're thinking of it with a plan and solution, obviously that's okay. But like you're saying, that breath of fresh air with whatever coping mechanism could help you once you go back to reality, I guess you could say,
to think of that solution,
and you can come up with a solution that you can have fresh eyes on whatever situation it may be. And this is, like I said, every situation is different. I guess I'm only attacking one area.
I mean, you can only attack what you know, honestly.
Yeah, I can't.
But that's why I'm having so many episodes of this mental health talk, because I think it's important for people to see things from a whole bunch of different angles, right? So like I had Craig on last time, and he literally said that his supervisor saved his life, so he was like on the brink, and that's like where some people are. But then you have other people that might have been going through things like us, where like we feel down, but it was very temporary. But we felt down, and we felt down enough to where we were like, man, like I don't even think I want to be here anymore. Like, but you snap out of it so quick. A lot of people, it doesn't happen for them like that. But I think it's important to talk to people who are like in that situation that we were in as well, or that we might still be in as well, because a lot of people don't know how to stop the downpour before it gets too far. And I think that we jumped on our cases very quickly. When I'm feeling down, or I mean, like I don't mean to sound like a fanboy, but I listen to a lot of Nipsey Hussle now, and his music literally changed my life. His music is the reason that this podcast exists today, because he got me on my grind. He made me want to do more, made me want to be more, and as a result, now I have this platform that I created for myself, self-made podcast here with no help, and it's like I had to get myself out of my funk somehow. I had to get myself out of my mental state somehow before it got so far that I didn't feel like doing anything, that I had no ambition, that I had no drive to do anything. You'd never want to let it get that far. So the advice that Lamontre is giving you guys and the advice that I'm giving you guys to say, like, you know, always have something to look forward to, always surround yourself with something positive, always find something that helps you cope. Like, it doesn't always have to be somebody else. It can be, but sometimes your best healer is yourself, because only you can truly feel the pain of what you're going through. Others can't really feel that for you. They can sympathize for you and maybe empathize if they maybe went through something similar, but everybody's pain is different because, you know, for example, if you lose a family member, that person that you're talking to, I mean, maybe they have, but like me and you, for example, we're not related. I lose my dad or something like that. I come to talk to you, like, you can maybe empathize because you may have lost like a family member, but you can't feel the pain for me of like me losing my own family member, right? So it's like you have to learn how to heal yourself as well, but you also at the same time have to let other people help you in the ways that you are weak. So if that means like taking people's advice like we're doing on this podcast now, that's fine, you know, as far as like letting other people help you. But at the end of the day, it's something that you have to put in the work to fix for yourself within. And you know, I don't think it's really fair to blame society for why people like take their own lives.
No.
I know sometimes it's as a result of like societal pressure and things like that, but what I more mean by that is like, oh man, you could have saved him, you could have done this or that. Like at the end of the day, the only person that can save you is you. Other people can help you or like hold your hand through it, but you have to take that step. You have the choice of whether or not you take your own life, and nobody wants to really see anybody do that. But it's really it's a difficult topic because it's so complex. There's so many different reasons people take their own lives, but I really think that a bit of self-healing really goes a long way. A bit of like just take some time away from the stressors in your life, the things that are causing you to have all these mental health problems. If it's work, you know what I'm saying, like I said earlier, take leave. Like take some leave. Like I'm not gonna lie, some of y'all that I know that have mental health issues, you got like 30 days use or lose. Use your leave, man. Like, come on. Like, what are you saving it up for? If you just want to sit in your room for a week, cool, do that. Just take some time away from your job because your job will wear you out. We have a mission to do, and like that mission never stops. But you can stop if you put in a few days of leave and separate yourself from that stressor.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
I want to see people that I know that are struggling with mental health. I want to see them do more for themselves, but I also want to see us as a Air Force family do more for them as well. You know, speaking of that, how do you feel? I asked Craig this last episode as well, but how do you feel about the whole approach that the Air Force is taking towards this uprising in suicides? Do you think it's effective, or do you think, I mean, obviously it's going to need some work, but do you think it needs major work, or do you think they're on the right track?
Well, so as far as the rise that's happening, it's actually very shocking, very surprising. You know, that's the start, but do I think what we're doing is effective? It's really hard to say because you only get the results after the math.
Yeah.
And there's no telling if what we're doing now, like if what we're doing now is actually helping or if it's working. Because I read a lot of what people are saying different bases are doing for their resiliency or their down days and things like that. And on one end, I understand the commanders are trying to, they're bringing the awareness. They want to talk to the troops. That's why like a lot of I guess some of the bases on their down days, they're having mass briefings, things like that. But also, just giving people a down day to just be off of work, it's a great, it's good, it's great. I don't think it's going to solve a problem. And I'm not saying that this is the only thing that the Air Force is doing. I know they're taking other measures, but that's a very hard one to actually answer. If I think it's actually going to work, that the methods that the Air Force is taking, I I don't know, man.
I'll be honest with you,
Yeah.
and like, I've said in the previous podcast that I don't know all the facts about every single topic that I talk about, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know some things, and I speak on the things that I do know, and I'll speak directly on Shaw Air Force Base, and because that's been a big like
Yeah, I know
a
it's
big
been in
deal
the
with this
news
whole
recent.
Shaw, when I was there, and I'm not sure now, but I'll speak on when I was there. When you were there, they had a big do more with less mentality, and I always wondered why we had to uh, we had to do as much as we did at that base. I mean, I understand they deploy a lot. I understand like their mission when they get deployed is a big one. I know we go on a lot of TDYs and stuff like that. But I will say that it goes to show you have to do something different if like 90% of your maintainers are getting out after their first term. I mean, you have those who are staying in because they love the job, they feel like they're really good at it, and things like that. But then you have those like me. I have 1 year left on my contract, and I'm not ashamed to say like I'm not. This isn't something that I'm doing long term. After this year, that's probably it. Might go National Guard depending on what they can offer me. But when it comes to, excuse me, when it comes to this whole situation of like maintainers getting out and things like that, there's a reason for that because we feel underpaid, underappreciated. I've spoken to a lot of maintainers, and they're like, man, the only appreciation we get is like a little thank you maintainers video at the yearly MPOYs.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't get the awards that they deserve. We already spoke on the hours that they're working, the high stress job, because in other AFSCs, making mistakes isn't as career altering as it is in ours. Because obviously we make a mistake, somebody could get killed. Finance makes a mistake, they can fix it. Somebody just doesn't get paid, and oh my mistake, we'll back pay you. You can't back pay somebody's life, right? If a jet goes down and the pilot loses their life, you can't say, oh my bad, let me resurrect them. It doesn't work like that, obviously. So for maintainers specifically, I don't know what the long-term fix is. I don't think anybody knows right now. But I will say that I think a deeper appreciation of maintainers would go a long way. I think a pay raise in our AFSC would go a long way. No offense to anybody, in other AFSCs. I know you guys work hard. Even services, I know you guys work your tails off. I see you.
Yeah. Security
But
forces.
yeah, security forces, all that stuff. But I think jobs like maintenance should get paid more than other AFSCs. And I think that's how you retain your people or get more people to join in this career field, because when people feel underpaid, overworked, underappreciated, number one, the chances of them killing themselves go up very high. And number two, the chances of them staying in that career field are very low after that point. And that's something that I believe the Air Force should think about. I think they should take care of their people who are working all these long, stressful hours. I feel like this should be a special duty pay, honestly, just because of the the rigors of our job and how high risk it is to not only to the people who we're servicing, like, you know, the pilots, but there's people who have died on the flight line. Stuff falls on people. Bomb bay doors on B-52s falling on people, you know, messing up their backs. I personally have a friend whose back has never been the same because a bomb bay door fell on him. This is stuff like you can't give us back our peace of mind or our body's health.
Yeah.
All you can do is try to make it worth our while by giving us the like financial support that we probably deserve. So when it comes to people that are struggling with mental health because of career stuff, I don't know, you know, personal life stuff, because that's all different, right? But when it comes to the career stuff, for maintainers specifically, and I'm not saying only maintainers have killed themselves. I know that that's not the case. But like I said, I'm speaking on what I know. I'm a maintainer. I've worked the line and back shop. I understand how it is. I've always felt like we should be paid more than a lot of other AFSCs are. And I'm not afraid to say that. There's a No Filter podcast. I don't care who's watching. I don't care what leadership is watching. We deserve to get paid more than a lot of other AFSCs because we work harder, we work longer. Our job is more stressful. That's just how it is.
Yeah. I can agree with, you know, some sort of hazard or special duty pay or something like that. It could go a long way. I believe bonuses could be a little more frequent. And obviously, most of the people in our career field enjoy getting their time back. So, like, you know, we go through the 2 weeks of 12s, and people often want their time back after that.
I definitely feel like you could hook somebody up, like give them like a week off, and like, you know, just, hey, you're on standby, but all of you just go home and chill. Like, you've worked your asses off for 2 straight weeks for us now through the weekends. Like, we want to give you, I think the most I can give without leave is 4, but even that would be fine. Like, give us 4 days of leave.
Yeah.
I mean, give us 4 days off, and then come back on Friday, check in, and then, hey, enjoy your weekend. Like, that type of stuff goes a super long way. I can personally attest. I will give my shop all the credit in the world. They understand that we're back shop, that we don't need to be pulling like crazy hours, especially during the holiday time. So what they try to do for us is like give some of us the week of Christmas off, the others the week of New Year's off.
Yeah.
And that's like really cool. That's the type of stuff that keeps us mentally fit, like mentally healthy, because we're like, dog, they really care about us. Like, they really give a damn about us as people. They care about our families. This is proof that they care about our families, because they're giving us that time back with our families that we didn't have before. And I think that's something that should be implemented across the Air Force, like in all maintenance career fields. Like, I understand stuff happens, but what's wrong with saying, hey, be on standby, and when we call you, you need to answer that phone and come on in, but we want to give you this time back.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna actually switch it up just a little bit right here. Yes, us in our career fields, we want to get that time or that pay, or, you know, something that shows the appreciation, but also it may not seem like it's your job depending on your rank, but subordinates also check up on your supervisors. And this goes up the chain, even the senior NCOs, because I know the senior NCOs, yes, they're the ones that have all the pressure to give handouts if they can be handed out. I know there's senior NCOs that actually fight for their shops to try to give their guys the days off and things like that. But I also know that they're human too, and they go through crazy situations and a lot of pressure from the top down. If you can, because pretty much we all can, check up on your supervisors.
I think that's a good point, because that's not something I ever thought about before.
Flight chiefs, section chiefs, make sure they're okay, because a lot of times if they are giving off a lot of negative vibes or just seem like a, downright bad person, maybe they are going through something that you would wish someone could help you with. So, and if you in doing that, you may end up getting better rewarded in the
I
end.
guess too. Some people think like, oh man, well, I don't want to break the professional barrier here, but I guess when it comes to this type of stuff, like for example, that second lieutenant that killed himself, like that. There's no time for, oh, let me be professional. Like, just check up on him. I mean, I'm glad you said that because, like I said, that's not something that I had thought about before you just said it just now. So I now have a new way of thinking because of what you said just now. So, I mean, that's why these episodes are so freaking important because, like, this is stuff that people really need to hear. Even me, like, that's why I love having guests on. I don't do these by myself for a very specific reason because every guest that I have on teaches me something new, a new way of thinking that I didn't have before. And I'm like really appreciative of people coming on here and taking the time out to discuss these things with me because I know it's going to help somebody somewhere in the future. And I hope this podcast can help decrease, the suicide rates. I don't think, unfortunately, we'll ever be able to get it down to zero because sometimes life just hits and you can't save everybody, but I want us to be able to save more than we're saving right now, obviously. I think a good quote, not to be funny, but I just watched Into the Spider-Verse the other day, and a good quote. Somebody was talking to Miles Morales, and they were like, "Hey, man, one thing you'll learn about this superhero stuff." I think it was Spider-Woman, Gwen Stacy. I think she was talking to Miles, and she was like, because her Peter Parker died in her universe. She was like, "One thing you'll learn is that you can't save everybody, but you want to save as many people as you possibly can." And I think that's. I learned a lot from that movie, but we can talk about Marvel stuff later. Anyway, it's like. You really want to just try your best to be there for people and understand that like you're not gonna be able to save everybody. It's not always your fault when somebody decides to do that. Sometimes it was just they were at the point of no return. But we want to stop people before they get to that point, which is why we're sharing our experiences today as some people who have like come close to maybe going over that edge, but brought ourselves back somehow, some way. So I want to say thank you for being on.
Yeah.
You and Craig have given some real valuable information on this podcast so far. Episode 3 of the Mental Health Talk is coming very soon. I need to round up a guest still, but once I do that, it'll definitely be coming very, very soon. So make sure you guys, once again, like, share, subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. Follow me on Twitter at Schizomania, on Instagram at SchizoForever. Don't forget, #NoFilterPodcast, and I will see you guys in the next episode.